Welcome to another episode of the Sipping and Tripping podcast, where we connect with amazing people. Today's topic is all about digital nomads, business advice, and just world travels. I am your host, Desmond Black, and the person that's sipping and tripping with me today is none other than Miss Dina Ramadan. Is that how you say your last name?
Ramadan, yeah.
Ramadan. Okay. Um, so how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks. It's been a productive morning and now I get to speak to you, so that sounds like fun.
Right. That's good. That's good. Now, for the listeners and the viewers, right? Dina is a digital nomad, a business coach. She has a master in business psychology and a diploma in life coaching. She has traveled 47 different countries, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Dina, on this platform, I like to conversate, educate, and entertain. This is the first time you've been on, so I'm just going to ask you a series of questions, just to get to know you a little bit more, and we'll take it from there. Um, so do you have a podcast or no?
I do actually have a podcast, yeah. But I don't run it. My business partner runs it, who's also a digital nomad.
Okay.
It's called Infinido Untold Tales.
Okay. And
And
what's that about?
it basically just talks to people about their extraordinary lives and, what they do for work and how they live their lives. And it's for people from all across the globe. But yeah, I think it's a
Okay.
little bit like sipping and tripping. It's more just like getting to know people and like really connect with who they are and their extraordinary lives.
Okay, that's good. I definitely have to check that out. And so is you and your business partner, or is it like you, your business partner, and a couple other people?
No, it's just me and my business partner right now. We do sometimes get in freelancers to work with us, and we delegate work out. For instance, like Google Ads and paid ads and different things like that. But yeah, it's just me and my business partner.
Oh, that's good. It's good. Like I said, I definitely have to get the link from you after we get off, and I'll check that out. Now, how often are there the shows?
How often are the shows? Once a week.
Oh, once a week. Okay. Which is it a set day or how's that work?
The day it depends really. It depends when Octavian gets it done, but we post it on Spotify and YouTube.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. So, where were you born and where did you grow up?
So I was brought up in Swansea, which is a seaside town in Wales in the UK. It's a really lovely place, but they do call it the graveyard of ambition, which is ridiculous. But yeah, a lot of people like are really happy to live by the beach and live like a very like simple life, which I quite like. I quite like Swansea, and I love going back and seeing my friends, and it's just a totally different vibe to places like New York and London where I've spent a lot of time.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I've got a sister. She lives in Australia
Okay.
and she's a clinical psychologist, helping
That's
people deal with borderline personality and other like mental health issues.
okay. That's good. So it sounds like you both are all about like giving back and just helping others. So that's always a plus.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
definitely. Yeah,
you
yeah.
you you speak to her often or?
Yeah, so we speak about once a month. Um,
Oh,
and when we speak for hours and hours, which is so nice to really to connect. And she's very outdoorsy. She loves hiking up mountains and kayaking and stuff like that, which I love
right,
too. But I whenever I'm in the UK, I don't do that as much as when I'm traveling.
right.
When I go traveling, I surf, I snowboard. At the end of the month, I'm going to Spain to kite surf, which I've never done before, but I'm really excited about. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do for a living?
So I'm a digital nomad coach. I help people like design their digital nomad life and build a business from no idea to a business with paying clients. The types of businesses that I help people run are online businesses, so they can do it from anywhere in the world. And I give them some advice on like where they can live based on their passport and design like the day that they want to have. So
Right.
some people, they're morning people, other people, they're evening people, night owls, afternoon people. So it's all about designing a lifestyle where you can really excel with your energy levels. So if
Right.
you want to work in the morning, you can wake up early, get your work done, and then in the afternoon you could go for a surf or go for a hike or go and chill in a cafe or do whatever you want to do. While other people, they want to be they're most inspired at night, so they spend the whole day like chilling, tripping and sipping, and then they do their work in the evening. I'm more of an afternoon person, so I like to have my mornings to chill, play guitar, do some yoga, and then I like to get my work done and then go to the gym.
Right. So now you from British summertime, right? So I
Yeah,
believe that's like 5 hour time difference or something like that. What time is it right now for you?
it's 2:15
Oh, quarter past.
in the
Yeah. See,
afternoon.
yeah. So it's 9:16 here. So yeah. So are you religious?
I'm not really that religious. I'm more spiritual. So I definitely believe that there's a higher purpose, and I believe that the universe is conscious. And I've definitely had experiences of my own that would confirm that. But I don't necessarily believe in like the societal the societal religion. Like I appreciate it, and I see that it is good for society for there to be like Christianity, Islam, Hinduism,
Right.
Sikhism, etc. But I tend to believe that I want to be connected to God in my own way, and like appreciate God in my own way and give back to the community in my own way.
Right, right. Now, so likewise, like I never use the term spiritual when when I speak about myself, but I don't believe in the Bible as it's written. I don't believe in God as He's portrayed in the Bible, but I do believe in a higher power, right? So, I mean, I guess that will be spiritual, right?
Yeah.
But that seems to be the theme these days. Every time I ask that question, I get that, like, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. So that I don't know if that has anything to do with how society is or the upbringing, but I'm starting to get that a lot these days.
Oh,
Um,
that's interesting.
okay. So you had mentioned that you was a digital nomad. What exactly is a digital nomad?
So for me, a digital nomad is someone who can work for themselves and work from anywhere in the world. It doesn't necessarily mean traveling all the time, like the
Right.
traditional term of nomad, but it just means that you have the freedom to travel whenever you want. If you want to spend 3 months in Greece, you can. If you want to spend
Mm.
um, 6 months in America and half the year somewhere else, you can do that. Yeah, so I just feel like I've lived out of a suitcase for 4 years when I was just traveling full time, and now I have a base in the UK. I'm still a nomad. I still get to travel whenever I want, but it's also nice having a community, and I quite like traveling half my year and then spending the rest of my time um, spending time with my friends and family.
Okay, that's good. Now, the question I have is this: so, you said you've lived out of a suitcase for 4 years, right? Like
Yeah.
financially, how difficult was that? Like, how did that work financially?
So because I wasn't paying rent, I saved a bunch of money when I was traveling, and then I was just spending money on hotels and hostels. I spent a lot of time in hostels just to meet other travelers and meet other people who wanted to go and explore new cities together. So
Right.
yeah, but then I was also making money online as through my coaching business.
Okay.
So yeah, I had an income coming in, and that's what I basically help people do, like make an income while traveling.
Okay. So that was the next thing I was going to ask you. What exactly is a business coach?
So basically, I help people with the idea side of the business. So if they
Mm.
just go, Dina, I want to travel, I want to have an online business, I want to be my own boss, I want to have the freedom to do whatever I want to do. Um, I go, okay, cool, fill out this career assessment, which has over 100 questions in it. And then they go
Mm.
through those questions. I read through them, and then we have a coaching session together to help them figure out what the right career path is for them. Because the like there are so many different types of businesses that people can have. So most people think that they only have to do digital marketing, or they have to do coaching, or they have to teach English as a foreign language to be able to have their own business. But I've helped people become nutritionists, mindfulness teachers, Portuguese teachers. I've helped people make money through blogging, make money through legal coaching, so many different types of businesses. So it's just going through all of the finer details to figure out what you're good at, what you can get paid for, and what you're passionate about. So it's trying to find that triangle to help people figure out what they want to do. And then after that, I put them in a 3-month coaching container, where me and my business partner help them build the business. So build a website, social media, different ways of marketing. If they want to start up a podcast, we can help them do that. So then within 3 to 6 months, they will have paying clients, and they can make money and have the ability to work and travel as a digital nomad.
Okay. Now, what is a remote business? Like, when you speak about starting up remote businesses, like, what does that mean exactly?
So it just means a business that you can do online from your laptop, or a
Okay.
business. I've even helped people become event managers, where they travel internationally across the world to different events, and they get paid for either area managing or stage managing, or like create the event themselves and make money from the event. And you can have events in anywhere in the world, as long as you have a good marketing strategy to get people to come to your events. So it's not necessarily an online business. It will in some ways be an online business, but it can also be like a physical business, an offline business, where you get to travel the world.
Right. Okay. So you said that the goal is to help people be able to travel the world with an income. Elaborate on that a little bit, because I know you've traveled a lot.
Yeah.
But like, when I seen that, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, how is this possible? So go ahead and give me a little insight on that.
Anything is possible in this world, especially with the internet. You can connect
Mm,
with so many different people on the internet, and everyone needs something. And that's how businesses make money these days. They market themselves online, they have a decent website, they have good SEO on Google, and then they attract people to their business. Your vibe
okay.
attracts your tribe. So it's all about just knowing exactly what you want to do in your business, and then putting it out there in a way that is attractive, and then the clients will come and you will make money.
I love that you said your vibe attracts your tribe. That's that's
Yeah.
that's that's great. That sounded so good when it fell off your tongue. I was like, okay. So I can see that you well spoken, and you love talking and speaking to people. That's always a plus.
Yeah, I love
Um,
talking to people, and you do too. And think about all the people that have connected with you through your podcast. You do have
right.
an online business.
Okay. See, I never looked at it that way. I always looked at it like it was a gateway into for my business, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess so. You said the podcast is a business. Why would you say that? Is it because of the whole networking aspect of it, or?
So at the moment, you're building your product, which is your podcast, and then you're talking to different people. As your podcast gets more and more successful, you could potentially get sponsorship. So people who really vibe with sipping and tripping, um, you they'll want to potentially partner with you. So then you can sell products or sell ideas or services, for example. If your podcast gets even more successful and you get like 100,000 viewers, people will actually pay to be on your podcast. So
Right.
it's potentially and someone just said on that you're a great podcast host, which I think so too.
All right, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Okay. So that's good. That's good. It definitely put a smile on my face, as you can see. Uh, so you have a funny story to where you was reported missing, right? When your phone got stolen in Malaysia, right? Tell us about that
Yeah,
story a little bit.
yeah. So I was in Malaysia and I was just enjoying my travels. Like I was in Kuala Lumpur at the time, and then I saw that there was an event in Bali that I wanted to go to. And Bali is next door to Malaysia, and I could get a ticket for like $50. So I was like,
Right,
let's go. Bring it on. Let's go back to Bali. I'd been to Bali before. And then when I arrived at like 1 o'clock in the morning, got a taxi to my hotel. And
right,
then I stupidly left my phone in the taxi. And then he said to me, "Have you left anything?" And I said, "Just carrying my bags." "No, I don't have anything else I need." And then he drove off with my phone. So then I realized, oh no, he's got my phone and I don't even know who he is. Like it wasn't through Uber, it was just a taxi from the side of the road. And then I was just like, okay, it's time to do a digital detox. I've got
right,
10 days in Bali, ended up being 2 months, but I have 10 days in Bali. I'll just relax and then wait till payday, and then I'll buy myself a new phone. Like, no
right,
stress, it's fine. And then I was just enjoying Bali, like, went to the day event, which was Nomads Giving Back. And that was really cool. And I spent the rest of the time doing yoga, drinking smoothies, and just like oblivious to the outside world, just enjoying my time in Bali. And then
right.
6 days in, 8 days in, this woman comes up to me, looks really shocked, and goes, "Are you Dina?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm Dina." And then she goes, "Everyone's looking for you in Malaysia and Bali and Asia. Like everyone is on a hunt for you, and your face is all over the internet. Like people want to find you." And I was just like, "Oh, okay." So then she gave me her phone and said, call your family. So I messaged my mum, and then my mum instantly called, and the phone that I had, and she was just like, "Where are you?" And I was just like, I'm in Bali, like having a really nice time. I just my phone got stolen and I'm just detoxing from
Right.
the internet. And then she was just like, we have to call the foreign secretary in the embassy. So then I was like, oh my God. And then you can even read this story. If you type in my name, Dina Ramadan Lost, on
Okay.
the internet, I'm the first one that comes up, and you can see a picture of me with my story about like how I got reported as a missing person in Malaysia.
Interesting, interesting. That's what I said. I seen that, and I was like, you know what? I need to hear this story because that's crazy. So your mom and your family, they the ones that reported you missing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha.
I speak to my family like once a week when I'm away. Like I like to keep in touch with my family and friends while I was traveling, you know, just to feel that homely vibe. But yeah, they reported me as missing because they couldn't get through to my phone. So
At least you know they cared and they was there for you. That's
yeah,
always a plus.
yeah.
Family is everything. Shout out to Allison, Demarcus, and Breon for attending the show so far. I appreciate y'all. But yeah, so okay, so tell us about your various trips and travels around the world. Because when I seen that you've been to 47 different countries, it blew my mind. I was like, wow. Like I wish I was in that space. I wish I was able to say the same thing. So without further ado, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your world travels a little bit.
Okay, so I've lived in Greece in a place
Mm,
called Crete, which I recommend to anyone. The beaches there are incredible. I highly recommend Balos Beach, Balos Beach, and Elephantisi, Elefoni. I don't know, it's really hard to spell.
that's
Um,
okay.
and yeah, I lived there for a while. I lived in Portugal for a while, which was pretty
Mm.
cool. I lived in Malaysia for a bit. I spent a lot of time in Bali. I spent 3 months in Morocco. I also hitchhiked when I was in university from Swansea in Wales to Morocco, so across Europe, across France and
Mm,
Spain, which was crazy. Like I had about it took us 9 days altogether to get there because we kept taking detours
mm,
across Spain and France. And yeah, we met so many cool people while hitchhiking. And it was from people with very lavish cars, like Mercedes, and we also had lifts in trucks as well and lorries. We also had like three of us in like a mini Cooper, and then we all had our bags like on our laps, and we were like just getting lifts, as many lifts as we can to get to Morocco. And yeah, I've been to so many countries. Like I've been all across Africa in a
mm.
cruise where I went to Kenya, I went to Seychelles, Mauritius, um,
Amazing.
Tanzania. So yeah, so many cool countries. Do you have any places that you want to go?
Well, out the country or just in general?
Out the country. Let's think big.
Yes, actually, but when I look at it, like I hate to say it's a dream because I would like to turn any dream into a reality, right? But like,
Yeah.
it just when I think about the financial aspect of it, and right now I have 4 kids, so I'm like, now you got to take the kids too, and I'm like, that's gonna be very expensive, and everything's about timing. But places I really want to go that's on my bucket list, I definitely want to go to Egypt.
Oh,
I always
cool.
want
I'm
to go to
half
Egypt.
Egyptian.
Okay, that's good. Um, yeah, that's interesting. Let me see, Egypt, Africa, um, uh, let's see, Egypt, Africa, like Puerto Rico, Mexico. That's like not really on a large scale, but those like
Okay.
things that stand out to me. Let's see, I would say Italy,
Okay.
definitely, and probably Germ uh what you call it? I got a brain for it. Ireland. I think Ireland. I like to go to those places. But
Oh,
like
that's cool.
at the top I would probably say Africa and Egypt. Those would be the first two, like out of country.
Okay, that would be
Definitely.
really cool. You should definitely do it. One thing I recommend if you have 4 kids and you have to take them, how old are they, by the way?
So I have a 10-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and at the end of this month I have a 1-year-old.
Yeah. So one thing I recommend is going on a cruise because you
Right.
can get child support and fun activities for the kids to do, and then you can chill and do your own thing. Um, and it's free for under eights.
Okay.
So you would have like three of your kids going for free.
Right. I mean that's interesting, but that will also mean that like I would have to plan this soon, you know what I'm saying? Because time flies and they get older and older. Sometimes I look up, I'm like, how old are you again? That's crazy. Because
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it blows my mind that I have a 10-year-old. Like
Yeah, it's
sometimes it feel like
crazy.
he's still 3 or 4 years old, but in all actuality, he's 10 years old. So time be flying. And and then when I look at my kids, I look at my own age and I'm like, that's crazy. I'm getting up there. Like, I still feel like I still look young. When I tell people my
You
age,
do
they
look
don't believe me.
young.
I appreciate that. How old do you think I am?
I think you're 37.
37. Okay, close. I'm 39.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
I try to pass. I be telling people, oh, I just turned 30, and sometimes it works, but a lot of people are like, yeah, right.
I think it's because
So
I look young too, so I can kind of. I always get like, I know like people have different. Although you look young and you've got great skin,
right,
I can kind of decipher that.
right. How old are you? Since you mentioned that.
I'm 35.
35. Okay. All right. So yeah, you do like you look younger than that. I was gonna say like 29.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you very much. I'll take that.
No, honestly, I did. Like, when we first started connecting, and I looked at your page, I was looking at the pictures. I was like, okay, she's probably like 29. She's in her 20s, and that's why to me, when I was like 47 countries at a young age, I'm like, that is insane. But
Yeah, yeah.
35 is still young as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's still 47 countries is mind blowing. It really is. So hey, I'm happy that you was able to experience all that. This is good.
Yeah.
Um, Now I know before we went on air, right? We talked about me having a business or whatnot. So, and I said we would get around to that. So, I'm currently planning on owning and operating my own small business. I'm
Okay.
working on building a food truck. Um, and in doing so, I'm looking to quit my job, right? So that I could become my own boss. What advice do you have for me as far as quitting my job to
Okay.
operate my own business?
So you need to know what locations you want to sell your food. Like, do you want to sell your locations close to home, or do you want to travel with it? Do you want to go to different festivals? Are there any markets that you can set up shop to it where you'll get an abundance of clients? So it's all about picking where you feel like you could sell the most food. Also, I loved your idea when you were talking about this of like trialing different types of cuisines.
Hmm.
That's a really good idea, because then you can see which cuisines sell the most. But I
Right,
also do feel like it's you know stick choose maybe your special dishes,
right.
sell about 4 dishes, and then see which one sells the most, and then
Mm.
keep going towards the market. Like, how can I sell more of this? Where am I getting the most clients, if that makes sense?
Right. I'm going to Kemet one day. What's Kemet? Where's Kemet?
I think that's in Africa.
Oh, it is? Okay, okay. I didn't know that, Demarcus. That's good. That's good. So Kemet, see, that's the thing. I gotta look at like the expenses of how much this stuff gonna cost. Because right now, fun fact, like 2 years ago, me and my family, we made this pact, right? We said like every year we're gonna do 2 trips a year, right? No matter if we've been to the state before as adults, meaning me and my kids' mom, but as a family, right? Like with the kids and stuff, no matter where we may have been as an adult, like we just push that aside, and as a family, we just start over. So 2 years ago, we went to Connecticut and Rhode Island.
Oh, lush.
Last last year, unfortunately, we didn't take any trips, but this year, I plan on going to Tennessee in June,
Okay.
and in August, just Pennsylvania. Take the kids, around the state of Pennsylvania. And then, like, also every year I also go to North Carolina because my father's there, and everybody on my father's side of the family lives in North Carolina. So that's a must. Every year we do the North Carolina thing to see my family because they're getting older. My father's in his 70s, so you got to give people their flowers while they're still alive. So that's a must. So that's the plan for this year. And next year, I think I'm gonna do Texas, and I gotta decide on the other state. But so that's the plan for that. Now, as far as the food truck thing, so I know you got to start small, right? Because you got to have the
Yeah.
money, right, to be able to purchase the food necessary to cook and
Yeah.
prepare your meals. So I think in the beginning, I am going to have menus that I don't particularly want on my menu, like moving forward once I start moving. But I know you got to start somewhere, so I got to start smaller. Like what a menu that like it's not going to cost me too much to produce, but it's going to bring in the revenue that I need. So I think that's the plan initially.
Start with
Now,
4 dishes. Start with four
okay,
dishes, and have like your best dishes, and see what people want.
right,
And then see which one sells the most, and then even ask your customer, "Oh, did you like this? Would you be interested in trying this?" Like,
right,
also figure out if anyone is vegan or vegetarian. Have a
mm,
dish for everybody. Don't just cook what you like. Like, think about what your market likes, what your ideal client likes.
right. And I just wrote that down as you said it because, to be honest with you, I didn't even think about that. I was thinking about like dishes that I think is a specialty of mine or something that I what generally want on the menu or something that I would eat. And that was my focal point. But I'm glad you said that because somebody else had mentioned that to me. Just make sure I have something for everybody, and I would also write down allergies. I gotta make sure I stay on top of that as far as
Yeah.
allergies because I've been in the restaurant industry for 18 years, and the last 7 years I've been a kitchen manager. So in being a kitchen manager, I've learned a lot on the business side of things, right? And how to manage people and the food and the numbers and things of that nature. There's still other things I need to learn, but that's the one benefit I have as far as owning my own food truck is I had like I because before I was a manager, I was a line cook, right? So I was an hourly employee. I had to answer to people and I had to learn how to make the food, prepare the food, and I did culinary arts, right? So culinary arts is supposed to be 4 years, but I only did the first year because money is crazy when you had to pay back loans and all this stuff, and I never had credit, so it became a problem. Hold on one second. He said Kemet is the original name for Egypt. Huh.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I'm Egyptian and I didn't even know that. But actually, it now sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to look into that because yeah, now I'm intrigued. But so, and it's funny you was like, um, choose the best dishes because once I'm moving with the food truck, my plan was to have a rotating menu. I think I spoke to you about that before. So like I say like for 3 months it'd be like Italian food. Another 3 months it'd be like Mexican food. Another 3 months it'd be like Caribbean food.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then I also thought about like, okay, what my top sellers from each cuisine, each ethnic, background, I can merge that together and that'll be a menu, right? Like
Okay.
whatever the top sellers is. Now, when you were saying how I should engage with the customers and ask them, for their criticism or their critique, it's crazy because when I was a manager, we had cards like that, had questions on there for them to do this, just that. So I had made my own questionnaires on like a flyer type card for that. So once the business starts, I could pass it out or put it in the bag with their food and have them fill it out. It's sort of like Yelp, but they will go to like a website of mine or they hand it back to me, and then I can use that as a tool to see what the market is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's a great idea. Oh, also,
Right.
one thing that came to me is there's a restaurant that I see marketed online all the time, and they do a 6 week tasting menu
Mm,
for each food cuisine. So right now they've got Italian, they've done Mexican, they've done Japanese, and they have their
mm,
own spin on these types of cuisine, and they're doing so well, and people are now, it's almost like a cult. They're like, oh, I've got to try the next menu, I've got to try the next menu. So
right.
when you're marketing your Italian menu, also
Right.
say coming up soon is Jamaican, for example, and then
Okay.
just keep telling them like, come next time to try this, and then you'll get like a cult following, hopefully.
Yeah, I just wrote all that down too. Now you said that the place you talk about, they did like a 6 week tasting menu. You said.
Yeah, it's a restaurant,
Okay.
but they do like a 6 week tasting menu, so people can try like small, like tapas, small dishes, and I
Right.
think they have like 6 different courses, and then people buy wine on top of that, and they're doing really well.
Okay, say like I said, that's good advice. Definitely, like I said, I took notes on things that you said so far, so that's good. And you say always promote what's to come by putting coming soon. So that's something I will implement as well. So I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Um,
but be
but
warned, when you've got a food truck, you've got to wake up at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. every morning to prep the food. So good luck with that.
oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not a
So
morning person, so that to me would just
you,
break me.
I used to say that all the time, but like one, it's like being in relationships or just living with people, one thing I learned is the morning times when nobody else want to get up, they want to sleep in. That's my solitude. That's where I take solace in. Like, I wake up in the morning and it's my time. It's me time. Like I ain't got to deal
Okay.
with no noise, nobody else. So I've grown to be a morning person, right?
Okay.
Because it's quiet, it's peaceful, right? It's everything around you. It's just serene, right? Like you just float and drift into your own thoughts, and it's good for planning your day. You don't have all
Okay.
this distractions and the noise around you. It's good to plan your day, right? Because one thing I learned from my boss was he told me get a planner. At first I couldn't stand it. He told me get a planner every day, focus or think about what's my plan for the day? What are my goals? What do I
I
want to
do
accomplish?
that.
And in the beginning, I hated it, but ever since I started doing it, it was very beneficial. So I still continue to do that. I wake up in the morning, I try to prioritize. I write down what I want to accomplish for that day, and it keeps me motivated. It keeps me on my toes. It keeps me focused. It keeps me engaged. It keeps me organized, and that's a plus, right? And the morning allows me to do that because I don't have to worry about no distractions, no noise, no nothing. Um, so yeah, I do that. And now when you were saying about the morning thing, about the food truck thing, I am all about knowledge and gaining knowledge. You're never too old to learn new things. So
Definitely.
I've researched, I did a lot of homework on food trucks and how to run a business. And this is just one of the books I bought. And
Oh, wow.
it's been helping me tremendously. And I have like three other ones. And the one thing is the business plan. So I wrote my business plan. It's just so much more I have to do. Like I still have to get my EIN number, and that's one of the things I should have did from the beginning. I should have did that a long time ago, but I haven't. But I will. And I've been struggling with coming up with a name for the truck that I'm in love with. I came up with a lot of names, and I posted them on Facebook. I'm like, yo, what do y'all think about these names? Or pick which one you like. And a lot of people was like, they don't really like the names or it don't stick with them. But it's some names that I really like. And I try to push the people and they were like, yeah, I don't think it's catchy. So then now I'm back to the drawing board, like, dang, I gotta go back at it and try to be creative. And it's crazy because I like to attend a lot of food truck festivals. And I see the name of their trucks. None of them are really catchy. It's
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
9 times out of 10 they're simple. And so then I tell myself, like, I'm like, why am I so critical? Why am I putting so much effort in the name? Right? Like, just choose something and just run with it. Because the food gonna sell for itself, not the name.
The only name I've ever remembered of a food truck is Hip Hop Chip Shop.
All right, see, that's catchy. That I think it's a little bit long for a food truck name, but hip hop
Yeah.
chip shop, it's catchy. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah. That's the only one I remember, and I've been to a lot of food trucks, and I've eaten a lot of food across the world, so I don't know. What are the names that you've been thinking of?
Like some of them that I can remember off the top of my head was starvations. To me, I
Okay.
thought that was catchy. You know, people starving, and then I said starvations. I don't know. That's one of the names I've thought about. Let's see, what else? Like belly busters.
What about
Um,
Big Bite?
Big bite. Yeah, yeah, see, like so it's simple, but it's good, right? Big bite. Oh, I spelled that wrong. What else I came up with? The traveler.
Okay.
Um, diversity. That's another one I like. Diversity because it's diverse, backgrounds in the cuisines. Like diversity was one of the big ones for me. That one and
Okay.
starvations, but I think those are my top two that I've chosen. But or one of them was the tourist because like you
Okay.
take tours, the tourists. Yeah, but a lot of I wasn't getting positive feedback from the names. That's the crazy thing. I also thought about as my kid's mom put it up there, I came up with the four J's. Now, a lot of people was like, "What is the four J's?" Well, I have four kids, and all of them, their names start with a J. So my
Oh,
oldest is
cute.
Jalil, then I got Jaden, then I got Jordan, and then I got Journey. So it's all fours. I mean, all four of them with J's. So I thought about the four J's because to me, it was symbolic and it meant something to me. So that was also a big one that I came up with. But you know what I'm saying? And I also thought about naming it after my mother. My mom's name is Sophia. So I also thought about naming the truck Sophia's.
Okay.
But the problem I ran into with that, like almost everybody, it was like almost unanimous. A lot of people said, well, if you don't have a picture of your mother or a woman on the truck, that they don't think that would fit. They was like, because when you say Sophia's, they're thinking of a woman, and a woman should be the
Yeah.
forefront of that business. So that's something that a lot of people have been telling me. So I'm like, all right, maybe not Sophia's.
It would be
But
better as Desmond's because you're the cook.
yeah, Desmond's. Yeah, yeah. But see, my name. I couldn't imagine going look at my truck every day and saying Desmond's. It would have to be Desmond something or Des is something because a lot of people call me Des. So
Des,
it would have to
yeah.
be something like that. So yeah, but that's just some of the ideas, some of the names I came up with.
That's cool.
Um, so tell me about ways to build a business that will allow me to travel, such as yourself.
Well, if you have a food truck, as I said, you could just drive your food truck to different places. I'm not sure if you have to get licenses for different states, but
Well, you have to get permits, yeah, permits, but
yeah.
not necessarily license.
So you could potentially, when you go to Texas or take the kids to different places in America, you could take them in the food truck, and then just make money while you're traveling
Right,
around America.
right.
So you could
So
potentially do that in the summer holidays, and then take them away for 6 weeks. Set
right.
up shop in different states and then see who's interested in your food. If you want to have a business online, maybe talk to me about that, and then we can see what you can come up with so then you can work online. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to. So beyond this today's episode, I definitely going to stay in contact with you, and I think
Yeah.
I do want to work with you as far as two things because you were saying how you could help people develop their podcast and make it grow bigger than what it is. So I will work with you as far as that, and also for the food truck. We could bounce ideas off each other, and we can work with each other as far as that because I'm all about growth, right, and progress, right. So when you're looking for progression, it's sometimes you need that helping hand to
Oh,
because you
totally.
might come up with something that I ain't think of. So I'm all. Chef says, "Where's the guest from?" Oh, you had missed it. So you
I'm
want to
from
tell them
Wales. I'm from the UK in Wales.
what made you ask, Chef? That's my happened to be my older brother right there.
Oh,
He's all
cute.
see. He's also in the food industry. He's been in the food industry for like I want to say 19 years, maybe 20 years. And he also wants to start his own food truck. So
Okay.
he's a sous chef.
What about the name Brothers?
Brothers, I mean
And then
that's not bad.
you could both be you can both like create the menus together, and then you've got like two businesses instead of one.
He said it's nice how you talk. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've heard Americans love a British accent.
it's something about accents in general. Like Americans, we just it's attractive. Like I don't know what it is. It's just I don't know. I think it's more so because it's different, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like when you're used to seeing the same thing or hearing the same thing all the time, it becomes the norm for you, right? So
Yeah.
when it's sort of like right now I'm in New Jersey, right? It's like somebody that grew up and lived in Jersey their whole life and they never experienced nothing else in the world. And they go out of the country for the first time, or they go to Florida or something like that. They're going to be fascinated by so many different things because
Oh
it's
yeah.
different.
That's why I love
Uh,
traveling.
yeah, and
Oh,
that's what I
cute.
said. I love that, and like I said, that's something that I definitely aspire to do. Like I want to travel. I want to not just the states. I want to be able to travel the world. So when I came across you, right, and I read your profile and your bio, that's one thing I was drawn to. I'm like, dang, she's traveled. I have to connect with her and figure out how she did it and how I can apply what she did to so I can be in the same
Yeah.
position. Because life is beautiful, man. Like when you can expand, when you can see different things, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, you everywhere you went, you tasted the food. So me being a chef in the restaurant industry, it's like I want to be able to experience different foods because a lot of times what I do is I go out eat somewheres and I try the food and if I like it, I go home and I try to replicate it. Like
Oh,
my
cool.
palate is so like enhanced. It's like sometimes I could taste things and I'm like, all right, it tastes like they put this in it. It tastes like they put that in it. And I go back home and I'll try to replicate it. I'm like, does it taste the same? Because sometimes, like, say if I go somewhere else, I might get a little souffle cups. I'm like, oh, can I get a sauce to go so I can go home and then I'll taste it and I try to replicate it. So I'll have that as a reference point, and that's what I do. And I also look at like plate presentation. That's one thing that I work with my older brother about is trying to work on plate presentation, right? Because they do teach you that in culinary arts, but not so much because the plate presentation really applies to like fine dining. Um, but we buy with our eyes, right? When we go to restaurants, when we go get food, we buy with our eyes, and so plate presentation is very important. So I try to work on plate presentation and certain angles when I take pictures of my food. So on my YouTube is for my podcast and for my cooking and for the food truck. So when you go there, that's all you're gonna see is food and the podcast episode. So let's see
Sounds
what do you say.
amazing.
I need some ideas on how to monetize my podcast. Also, yeah.
Okay. Well, I would firstly start in trying to grow your audience, like get
Hmm.
as many people to see it as possible. Like, I think it's great that you stream this on Facebook and on YouTube because then you're just attracting loads of people.
Right.
I would also have a newsletter. So if you have a newsletter, you can send out emails just saying, "Hey, the new podcast is up, check it out." And then you can
Mm.
grow your email list. And the more people you have on your email list, the closer you are to having a business that makes money. And
Right.
also, like, looking at sponsorship brands is another one, like seeing who would be interested in um like selling products on your podcast. That's another way of doing it. um and the more people that you get on your YouTube as well, you can get some money from YouTube. There are so many different ways. If you're interested to find out more or create a strategy or a plan, just send me an email on Dina, Dina at digitalnomad.coach.
Yeah, so I definitely wrote some of that down. And like I said, beyond this episode, I'm definitely going to connect with you and bounce ideas and
That's
learn from you.
cool.
And so let's see. One of the things you said in your bio was failure is just learning, right? So now I'm big on quotes, so that resonated with me. Like I love that. Like it just stood out because like sometimes you hear quotes and it's like you're like, dang, because I often come up with quotes and people feel the same way. They, oh, I like that. Oh, who wrote that? I'm like, oh, that's actually a quote from me. So I'm always coming up with things, being creative, and I come up with quotes. I write them down for myself, and I try to use them as much as possible. And so sometimes when I use quotes or I speak, so the way I do, sometimes people are like, yo, you were well educated, or you inspired me today, or you motivated me just hearing your message. So, and that's what I like because I know that's what I like in other people. When people can speak well and they motivate me, it inspired me to be a motivator.
Yeah, that's
So,
great. That's great. Maybe there's a coach within you as well.
right. Coach. I mean, I do sort of look at myself as a coach, right? Like I look at myself as a counselor, a therapist. I look at myself as an all around type of person. Like
Yeah,
if somebody need me, I'm there, for them the best of my ability. So whether that be a coach, a therapist, or just a ear, a shoulder, I try to be everything. I try to be a jack of all trades.
that's
Um,
cool.
Now we spoke about how you grew up in Wales, right? In your bio, you
Yeah.
said, when you was in Wales, you had a lot of dreams and ideas and aspirations, right? Tell us a little bit about Wales, how life was in Wales, and that creative process when you was growing up in Wales.
Yeah, so had an up and down childhood. My parents got divorced when I was like 6, 7, 8. Like the divorce took a long time because they were battling it out. And then at that point, my sister is 12 years older than me. So
Hmm.
she decided to leave university and take a gap year and go and travel the world. And it was then I was just talking to her in internet cafes because there were no mobile phones or iPads or laptops back then. So she would just talk to me in internet cafes like once a month and just tell me about all of her travels. And I was like, oh my God, I need to do that. Like, I need to go and see the world. It sounds incredible. And she'd just show me pictures and stuff. And I was just like, that's what I need to do. So that's when I got the taste for travel. And I used to go to Egypt every year for the summer holidays, just so my
Lucky,
dad could
lucky
my
you.
dad could work. Oh, it was all right. I had to, because I was young, I couldn't go and explore by myself. So I had to
Okay.
wait for family members to take me out. So I spent a lot of time like stuck in the house rather than enjoying Egypt. So it was, yeah, it was fun to be in a new country, but it wasn't like I was just having fun. You know what I mean? I was
Yeah,
with
I got
I
you.
was just chilling with family. But so I used to do that and I was like, I want to see more of the world. So I used to ask my dad, can we go to other places? And he would just be like, when you're older, you can do all this stuff. And so I never really got to travel the way that I wanted to. So that's something that I'm really grateful for that I have now. And then when I was 16, both of my parents were doctors, and I saw how hard they worked. And I was just like, I don't want to work that hard. Like, I don't want to have to work nights and weekends as a
Right.
doctor. That sounds awful. And so I was like, I want to be my own boss. I want to,
There you go.
and I want to have a VA, like a virtual assistant or a personal assistant, PA. And I want to like live my life the way that I want to live my life. And I want to
Right.
travel. And so when I was 19, when I was in university, to do the hitchhike to Morocco, I had to raise money for charity, which is great. So I started up my own little charity fundraising event business, where to raise money for charity, people had to pay a fee to come in, and they would see DJs and musicians and thespians and loads of different like performances within the event, because I had a lot of creative friends.
Right.
And I was like, this is cool. I'm raising money for charity. I'm going to do it again and again and again, just to raise more money for charity. And then I realized that, I have an entrepreneurial spirit. So I decided when I left university to become an event manager. And I was a freelance event manager for like 3-4 years. I really loved it. I got to travel around the UK hosting events. But I wasn't making that much money, and I was really struggling to pay rent. So I decided to go into an event corporate sales role, where I learned how to sell, but it was just awful. I was working in oil and gas and with pharmaceutical companies, and I was just like, this is not for me. Like, I am not made for this corporate world. I'm not made for heels and like short dresses and like being surrounded by like really like corporate sterile people. So that job lasted like 5-6 months, and my boss came up to me and he was just like, Dina, I don't really think this role is for you. And I was like, shit, I'm gonna get fired. And then he was like, I think you'd be better if you read The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, incredible book, and you should look into coaching. And this was in 2013, 2014. So he
Okay.
was just like, I'm going to have to let you go, but you should have a look at coaching. And he was an older guy. He was like close to retirement. And I looked into coaching, and I realized everyone in the coaching like weekend group were all like in their 50s and 60s, like retired people. And I was just like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't understand why he told me to do this. And then after the 2 days, I was like, I just felt really, it just came quite naturally to me to ask people questions and to show people like their like dream path and their dream life. And then I remembered why I didn't want to live a conventional life, and I wanted to travel, and I wanted to be my own boss, and I learned that in a weekend. And then I used my savings to buy the course to become a coach.
Right.
And I also bought a 5-week trip to Thailand, ended up staying a little bit longer. And I was just sold. I was like, I want to be a digital nomad. It didn't exist back then, but I wanted to be a person that could travel and run their own business.
Got you. All right. Yeah, like I said, man, we'll see. We'll see. I'm still at that age where I can still aspire to do a lot of things. So the sky's the
I
limit.
I've helped people in their 50s and 60s. So
Right. Now, you touched on your parents being divorced, right? Like when you was
yeah.
young. Tell me about like the difficulties that you had like mentally with dealing with that.
Well, it was a really difficult time because my parents were both fighting over full custody of
Okay.
me. So my sister, she was like 18 at the time, 19 at the time. So it didn't really, she would do her own thing. But because I was like 8 years old, they were both
Right.
fighting over custody. And then they would try and like almost stopped me from seeing the other parent, which
Oh.
was crazy. And then a lot of stuff happened, but I ended up like, my dad ended up winning full custody over me. And so I didn't see my mum for like, I don't know, like 15 years. And then she came back into my life when I was 24, 25. And now me and her are really close and we're like really good friends. But my dad in 2017 passed away and stuff. So she's been able
Sorry.
to support me all the way through that, which has been, I'm really grateful to have her in my life. And like things happen in life. No one has an easy life. But yeah, I'm just grateful that both of my parents have supported me in their own way, even though they did that to a young kid.
Right. Yeah, and that, and like I said, your parents, man, it's very important. Like for me, like my mom, she raised me most of my life, right? Or should I say most of my childhood life, should I say. Uh and I was seeing my father like every summer. And then at one point I was living with my father. I left Jersey, went to North Carolina, I was living with my father. And for the like I never really established a relationship with my father until I was like 20. Now, from stories that I've gathered when I was growing up, my father didn't even accept me when I was born, and he was like, "Oh, I was light skinned." Because I used to like you can't see it now, but when all up until ninth grade, I was light skinned,
Oh, really?
and I still got pictures, and I used to ask my mom, "How did I go from this to that?" And my mom used to joke all the time, I was like, "That's dirt," but but yeah, I still have pictures, and I show people, and they were like, "Is that your brother?" I'm like, no, that's actually me. But when I was born, I was light skinned, and my father was like, "Yeah, that's not my son." So it was one of those type
Yeah.
of things. And growing up, I had to hear things like that from him or from family members telling me that's what he was saying. And my younger brother, he's dark skinned, like he looks like Darth Vader's helmet, like that dark. And so is my father. So I had to grow up with that. And you just said like we all go through things in life, and life ain't easy, right? So a lot of times people don't realize that. They look at it like, oh, everybody always thought they had a rough life. I think at some point everybody has a rough patch, right?
Yeah.
But that's where traumas and stuff come from. So for me, that was traumatic for me, like having to deal with that and not feeling accepted or wanted or loved from my father. So uh like I said, it took for me to be like 20 years old for me to start really embracing my father and conversing with him and establishing a relationship. And ever since then, it's been great. And it's sometimes I think about it and I say, dang, I wish that I had established a relationship younger or at a younger age, because now he's in his 70s, and I don't want to say he don't take care of himself, but like he got two torn rotator cuffs and he still does work for people. Like he don't have a traditional job, but he'd go from house to house or whatever, or he'll post an ad or something like that, and he'll just do all this strenuous work, all this like building this, building that, hauling this and hauling that, and it's not good for his health. And it's crazy. Like 3 years ago, I went to see him, and I was looking at him like, this is crazy. He looks old, and so for me, that's why I said every year I got to go down there and see him and family, because I don't want to wake up one day and he's not here. And I'm like, dang, I
Yeah.
should have seen him more. So that's why I said every year, at least once, I have to go down there. And so that's a priority for me, right? And any job that I have, I tell them it's something you got to understand. It's something you got to accept, right? Because if not, if I can't do that, this ain't a good fit for me. It's not a job for me, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's that. Now, as a teenager, you said you was big on deep and insightful questions, right? Like you started to question the world and all that. So with you enjoying like things of substance or topics that had substance to it, right?
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of that came from childhood trauma for you?
Um, my role when I was a child was always the mediator. So,
Okay.
like, my parents would fight, and I would always be the one that brought the family together, and my sister would, like, run out of the house and not wanna come back and run away from home and stuff like that, and then it would always be me bringing her back. So,
Okay.
I've kind of got this, like, ability now to, like, make people feel calm and connected,
Right.
um, which did come from the trauma of my family. But I mean, I've always been interested in deeper questions, and I studied psychology, for example, because I don't know, I don't like just saying, "Hey, how you doing? How's your hair? How's your life?" I want to
Right.
actually find out the real insights of who you are and what lights you up. And that's why I
Right.
think I'm a coach. And that's what my boss saw in me. He saw that I'm good at like really getting people to open up and
Right.
feel safe.
Right. And it's funny you said, because that's something we have in common, right? Because from a early age, I'll say probably when I was maybe like in eighth grade, like maybe like 15 years old or something like that. From then on, I always had this passion for psychology and sociology. Right. And
Yeah.
like I said, I still do. And I remember when I was in high school, I was like, you know what? I want to major in sociology and psychology. And that's what I thought. And all the teachers like, "Are you sure?" Absolutely. I have a passion for this, and I have a thirst for knowledge. And then when I was in school, and I think it was my English teacher at the time. I want to say one of my teachers. They started bringing me books from the libraries that they either rented or books that they had bought, and just to give to me on psychology and sociology. Now, sociology is not so bad, but once you talk about reading books and studying psychology, oh my God, I had to buy a dictionary, and I was like, "Get this." Every other word, I kid you not, I had to go to the dictionary, and I used to write down whatever word I couldn't remember and the definition. My hand used to cramp up a lot, and then at that point, I was like, you know what? Psychology is tough. I can't do it. I'm still in love with the concept of psychology, and I still want to learn it. But trying to read and research on psychology, the amount of big words, it's just too much for me. I would have to get like a digital print where you can highlight it and translate it or something like that, or highlight it and get a definition. But it's a lot, right? But sociology and psychology, once you master that, once you study that and start applying those two things to life, you start seeing life through a different lens, right? And I
Yeah,
know I
yeah.
have. And it's certain things that I've picked up along the way that like I apply it to life, and it works for me, you know?
That's great.
So
That's great. Maybe have a look at coaching because it gets rid of the jargon. And if you want to talk to people and help people, I don't know, like coaching is kind of the new like it's a new industry, but it
right,
it it takes in a lot of like what psychology offers and then just gives it to people in a very straightforward way. That's what I really
right.
liked about it because yeah, I'm not very like I've got a very short attention span. So like psychology, when I did it as my undergrad and my master's, I was just like, okay, like this is what I have to do. I'm academic, but I just didn't enjoy it. While when you're
Mm,
coaching people, you're talking to people and you're helping them uncover their what they need to hear and
right.
so and how they need to feel, and then you help them like become a more successful version of themselves. It's way more fun.
No, I got you. I got you. I can understand that. But like I said, it's a study of people and why people do
Yeah,
the things they do, and why they think the way they think, and why they speak the way they speak. And for me, that was a big thing for me because I mean, I didn't get the recognition or acknowledgement that I feel like I deserved growing up in life, and I
yeah.
never understood it because for me, I'm like, I'm in the newspaper every week, or I achieved this. Why nobody saying good job? Why nobody saying I'm proud of you? Why are people
Aw,
degrading me instead of lifting me up? So I think those are one of the reasons why I always wanted to pursue psychology and sociology. I wanted to understand people. I wanted to understand myself, I guess, if you break it down, like maybe it's something about myself that I need to learn that's preventing them from giving me this acknowledgement or this praise or put me on a pedestal. So I think that's where that interest came for me. But
yeah,
but it is what it is. Throughout the course of life, I mean, my life, like I've learned to be at peace with a lot of things, right? Like people come in your life for a reason, right? And I feel like I shouldn't go above and beyond to be accepted, right? If you don't accept me, then it's okay. I know how to do away with you, right? I'm at peace with myself. So if you enter my life and you there for a good cause or a good reason or purpose, I embrace you. And that's what at this stage of my life, that's what it's all about. Like I'm not going to try to convince nobody to like me or anything like that. It's
You
either
don't
you
need
are or you're
it.
not.
You're doing so well. You're doing so well, and you're attracting your tribe. But there have been people who have on this podcast said that you're a great host. You're doing all the things. And
Right.
also, what I've learned over the 11 years of coaching is that people do watch you and see you for who you are, but they're always thinking about themselves. And even if they
Mm.
don't like something or share something or comment, it doesn't mean that people aren't watching and aren't impressed about what you do, but they might feel like maybe a little bit intimidated, or it might trigger them in some way, or they could just be happy for you, but then they don't really like anything, they just kind of
Right.
just doom scroll.
Right. Or like they don't know how to express it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
they
you.
don't know how to express it, yeah. And one way of really connecting with people is helping them see the value in themselves. So if you can
Mm.
help someone feel like they can achieve something and that they are amazing, they tend to like you more.
And that brings me to the next thing I was about to say, right?
Okay.
That's great. So it's crazy. Like I'll be saying certain things and like, and my mind be like, okay, on like people say you play chess and you play checkers, right? Sometimes I'll be thinking about the next move, and then you'll say something. I'm like, I was just about to get to that. Let me see what this comment say real quick. It says some can be jealous about the attention you get. Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah,
we was just touching on
totally.
that. So, so what I was about to get into is like, one of the things I love about you is the fact that you function at a high frequency, right? Like you believe that if you put out positive energy, you'll receive positive energy, right? If you're good to people will be good to you. So that's one thing I see in your bio that I was like, I love that because I'm all about people that function at a high frequency, right? Um, it's all about vibrations with me, right? Um, like it's high functioning people and it's low functioning people. And I look at myself as being high functioning, and I love when other people around me are also high functioning because we're attracted to likeness, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a tax bracket. Like you don't see a millionaire hanging out with somebody that makes $20,000 a year. It's just because when it comes to conversation, when it comes to your social life, it just doesn't fit. So for me, if you function at high function, like if you high functioning and I'm high functioning, now we can relate. We can dive into conversation together, and it just life is just it's what I'm saying. It's like congruent. It's the same.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I liked about you. When so you lived in London as well. So tell me about London. How is London? Life in London?
So the first 2 years of London, I hated it. I absolutely hated it because I was used to like small city, like Swansea vibes, like everyone just being very humble and not really like ambitious. But London was really ambitious, really
Mm,
fast paced. Like you have to commute everywhere
mm,
on the tube. It's very expensive. So it took me a while to get used to it, but it made me a tougher person. And I'm not sure if you've heard of the saying, strong men make weak men and weak men make strong men.
mm,
So when you're living a very easy, chilled out life, you're not very you're not very ambitious, and you're not very resilient. So the first 2 years of London made me really resilient and made me really ambitious, where I was meeting people in TV and in the event world and like doctors and lawyers and all of that stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, everyone is so like fast paced and intense and ambitious. So then in 2 years, I kind of grew into that myself. And then I realized I don't want to just be like, I want to be the best version of myself and I want to do the best that I can. And having my boss tell me I should study coaching and I should read the 4 hour work week just kind of like changed my life completely, where I was like, oh my God, I have a career where I can actually make money and not just live on the breadline. And I have a purpose now and I know how I can help people. And then I moved to an artistic warehouse community where we lived in a big warehouse together, and there were like 18 rooms for people to sleep, and we had this massive kitchen and a working area and a circus area all in my residency. And I started meeting lots of creative people who were also ambitious and all that I could really connect with, and we became really good friends in that situation. And I loved my life in London, but I knew that London wasn't forever, and I knew that I wanted to go and travel, especially after what my boss said. So I was like, it was great when I was there and I learned a lot. But yeah, I'm happy to be able to just be free now and travel, and then still have the mentality that I learned when I was in London.
Okay. Now, you also say in your profile, right, that when you lived in London, you that's where you started to question your purpose in life, the
Yeah.
identity in society, right? Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about that. Like when you say the purpose of life and identity in the society, what about it that you was questioning?
Well, I I didn't really get, and I think this goes back to when I was 16, talking about my parents as doctors, working all the time, working on weekends, working nights, etc. So yeah, when I was questioning like society, I was like, why is everyone working so hard? And everyone on the underground tube looks miserable. And then, you would frequently hear of people like jumping in front of a train and stuff. Like,
Right.
and it's just crazy. And I was just like, there must be more to life than London. There must be more to life than this like fast paced, everyone commuting, everyone working in a job that they hate. And I hated working in oil and gas and pharmaceuticals. It's just not aligned to who I am. Um, and so I started questioning like what I should do. And then I had this like gift from God that told me I should study coaching. And then that changed my life. And then I was like, oh, okay, the universe does give you what you need at the right time. Because at one
Right.
point I was like crying every day after work, just going, I hate my life. Like this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And
Right.
now like I look at my life and I just go, I'm really happy with who I am and what I'm doing. And also like going from Swansea to London, like I really appreciate the fact that people just have a nicer, more chilled out, less ambitious life in Swansea. But it's so now I get the best of both. I've grown as a person, I'm a stronger person,
Mm.
but I can also relax and look after my self-care and well-being.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Like I said, you definitely have an interesting journey, an interesting life. I don't know if anybody ever told you that before, but it's
Oh,
definitely
thanks.
interesting. And you're also well spoken. Are you dating somebody at the moment?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
How
And
so
that's why I'm
okay.
spending a bit more time in the UK at the moment, 'cause this is
Okay.
where my boyfriend lives. Um, he can work remotely, and I'm always encouraging him to come and travel with me. We have been to a few places together now, which has been quite nice. And at the end of the year, we plan to go and live as digital nomads in Australia for like a
Okay.
month or two. So
Okay.
he works for a company that are international, and they have a team in Australia. So hopefully he'll be able to work from that team. And then I'll just be working on my digital nomad coaching.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's what I was getting at because I was like, if you were dating, how is that working out? Like, is it more of like a long distance? So it sounds like it's more like you're dating somebody in the military type of thing. Like you see each other occasionally and you try to make plans. Is that difficult or is that easy for you?
It is a bit like that. I'm a fiercely loyal person. So when I
Mhm.
choose someone, I stick with them. I'm not gonna mess around. I'm not gonna like um do any I'm not deceitful. I'm always honest. So when I have gone traveling, so I went traveling to Africa for 6 weeks while we were together. I've also been to South America, Peru, Brazil, and Argentina for like 4 weeks, and we were still together. And then I went to Canada and Japan, and I did a trans-Pacific cruise, and we were
Mm.
together while I was doing that. One thing I will say is he needs to be better at communication when I'm away, because whenever I try and call him, he just
Right.
goes he gets a bit like you're not here, so I don't want to speak to you. And I'm like,
Oh
no, but
wow.
we have to speak to keep the
Yes.
relationship going. So
Yes.
we're trying to figure out a way for us to still communicate while I'm away. But when we're together, it's great.
Yeah, I was about to say that because communication is key. Once you
Yeah.
lose sight of that communication piece, that's when the relationship goes astray. So I would encourage the continue to work on that because you never want to lose that because without communication, it's like everything else
No.
crumbles around it.
Yeah.
Um,
He doesn't like it when I'm away for like over 2 months.
but I would honestly I wouldn't like it either. I don't think that I can do it. People that's dating people in the military, I'd be like, huh, you're stronger than me because I, I, I just couldn't do it. When I'm in a relationship, I like. Don't get me wrong. I like me time. I like comfortable silences. I love just spending time with myself to get to know myself a little bit more. But in a relationship, I expect to be able to cuddle and just lay up under you whenever time permitted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I need that. And like I said about traumas in life and not feeling valued or loved or appreciated in a relationship, I need to feel those things.
Yeah.
It's for me the moment I stop feeling those things, I'm thinking either it's got to be somebody else out there for me, or it's time to end this relationship. So I
Yeah.
have this need for those things. So for me, I couldn't do it. You know, I think 2 months will be hard, and then so you say like another month. Like maybe I see you for a week, and then like a month go by. I'm like, listen, it's too hard for me. I couldn't do it.
I get
That's
that.
just me.
It's not for everyone. I'm fiercely independent and I have my goals. So
Right.
I do say to him, like, is this okay? And he was just like, I obviously don't like it when you go away, but I love you enough to stay with you because I when we're together, it's amazing. And I'm like, one day you'll be able to travel with me. Like, but I'm never gonna not travel the world because it's my biggest passion.
Right.
It's even my identity. Like
Yeah.
traveling is part of my business, part of my life, part of everything. So
Right.
it's like I'm married to travel. So it's like I wouldn't give that up. And I would
Yeah.
want
That's it.
someone to respect that.
And as he should, because in a relationship, you got to respect each other's passions, dreams, ambitions, and aspirations. You have to respect that, right? And I wouldn't want you to give all that up. Or if I'm in a relationship with somebody, I don't want them to give up what makes them happy, right? Because if I sit there and I try to pressure somebody to give up something that makes them happy, then I'll no longer make them happy.
Yeah.
Because the moment they quit or give up on something because of me, it's when they lose a part of me or I lose a part of them. And they
Yeah.
start looking at me as the bad guy and they come up with all these things. Any argument we ever had, that's what they'll bring up. And they'll just find one thing after another thing and another. And it's just a snowball effect.
Yeah.
So that's one thing about relationships. So now if I was in that situation, right, I would do everything in my power to join you on that journey. I think I would be like, if I really want this relationship with you, I'd be like, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to do everything necessary so I can journey with you. Because if it's successful for you, I know it'll be successful for me as well. Especially being in a relationship, right? Because
Yeah.
when the relationship is two makes one, right? So if it's successful for you, I can't be a detriment. I'm just going to be a benefit. Because what's greater than walking a walk or taking a trip with somebody, having somebody next to you, having somebody to hold your hand, right? So life ain't nothing but a journey, right? And it's so much easier, so much pleasing when you can take that journey with somebody else. So that's what I would do.
Totally. Yeah.
No.
And he's always welcome. It's just he trains for marathons. He's a marathon runner and
Okay.
he loves going to music events. He studied festival management and stuff. So we have a lot in common. I don't run marathons, but he does. And yeah, he's never really traveled like I've traveled. So it's just
Right.
like he's getting me more like into fitness and I'm getting him more into like the idea of seeing the world. And
It's
it's scary. It's not for someone to go, now I'm going to go to a foreign country. I don't know anyone. I don't know the language. It's a scary prospect, but it's so worth it.
yeah. Now it's your boyfriend, is he from the same ethnic background or
No, he's white.
oh he's white?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Um so you said that everyone lives based on their values, learning, and goals, right? Tell us
Yeah.
about that. Like what are your values and what are some of your goals?
So my values are freedom,
Mm,
integrity, and fun.
and fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Freedom, integrity, and fun. See, yeah, they all important. Like integrity, yes. A lot of people don't talk about integrity, but integrity, having integrity is important, I think.
It's so important because if you're not authentically you, you're not happy. If you have to like if you're not someone who that has integrity in business,
Mhm.
you're never going to succeed because someone is always smarter than you and will catch you out.
Right. I got you. Now you lived in Asia at one point, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that transition. Like what was Asia like and you know, like how were you like supporting yourself in Asia? Like I know it's like you was just saying this language barriers and stuff. Like how was you able to communicate in Asia?
Everyone speaks English pretty much.
Seriously?
They can understand, yeah, a little bit of English, which can
Interesting.
go a long way. Yeah, and you'll just meet people who can translate for you, or yeah, but everyone speaks English. We are so lucky that we have the most dominant language in the world.
See. I guess I gotta stop living on a rock. I gotta stop watching TV and movies because I didn't know that. You know, because when you watch a movie or a TV show and they talk about and has a depiction of Asia, it's like nobody speaks the language, and people they got either like a bug, which I couldn't imagine looking in a book and trying to flick through pages to have a conversation. But now, you know, nowadays with technology, you can use it, Google Translate and stuff like that. But I didn't know that. I did not. Just like my younger brother, he was in the military, and
Okay,
he used to go everywhere. He traveled everywhere. He went to Greece, he went to France, he went to Egypt, he went to a
great.
lot of places. And I remember being jealous. And I hate to associate myself with that word, but I remember I used to be jealous. He used to be everywhere. Germany, everywhere. He went to Peru. Everywhere. Um, Now, and when he went to Japan, because he said he was going to live in Japan. He actually bought a house in Japan. I don't know whatever happened to that, but I used to ask him about it. I'm like, oh, isn't it strange? It looks like this. He's like, no. He's like, Japan looks like New York City. I'm like, no, it don't. He's like, yes, it do. He said, it's nothing like what you see on movies or on TV. He's like, it looks like New York City. And I was like, that's crazy. He said it's very clean,
Very
big
clean.
houses, like yeah. So like I said, like that's why I need to travel so I can experience this myself. Because in movies and television, they don't depict these places the right way. They have their
Yeah.
own thought process, their own notion, and their own idea, and that's how they want to depict it. But that's amazing. So how was life in Asia though? Like the
It was
culture.
cool. Thailand is amazing. Everyone is so friendly and everything is so cheap when you're there. Like the flight is really expensive, but when you're there you can get a meal for like $2.
And that's at $2 like US dollars or like
$.
oh wow.
If
Okay.
you just go to the local street food guy, you can get a pad thai for like $2.
Okay, and I'm assuming the food is amazing because it's authentic,
The
right?
food is incredible. Yeah, the
Oh
food. I
man,
love Thai food. It's so
yeah,
good.
yeah, I agree, and that's the thing. Authentic, it's nothing like authentic food, right? Like you know,
Yeah.
in the states, it's I eat like Americanized like Mexican food and stuff, but right down the street, and it's making me want to eat there now. To be honest with you, it's like it's an authentic Mexican spot, and when the first time I ate there, I fell in love, and I go there occasionally, and the food is so good, and they give you so much. And my first time I went there, I asked them, I'm like, wait, I get all this for this price? They're like, yeah. Well, how come you ask? I'm like, I just feel like it should be worth more. And the crazy thing is, as a consumer, I don't know if I should be saying that because what if they did hike up the prices? And I'm be like, listen, hold on, what are you doing? But they give you a lot of food, and for it's more food than I feel like the value is, right? I feel like,
Okay.
but the food is it's amazing, and like I said, it's authentic, and that's like I said, it's nothing better than authentic food. So I definitely want to, like I said, when I go to Texas next year, they call it like Tex-Mex and stuff. It's close to like Texas is right there with Mexico. So I've been told that they got a lot of authentic food, and I just can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
so now that you say something like Asia, I definitely got to go to Asia too. So I
Yeah.
say Egypt, Africa, Asia. Those are just the
Just go
uh,
everywhere. Just put
yeah,
everywhere on your
everywhere.
bucket list.
Yeah, everywhere. That's what I'm gonna change it on my vision board. I'm put everywhere in big bold print. You have inspired me.
One thing that
Um,
you could potentially do is become a restaurant consultant, helping people like manage portion size and how much they should charge for their food and how they should market themselves, and or even do like
yeah,
a restaurant podcast or something.
yeah. You know, it's funny you said that because when you was talking about tasters right earlier, something that I've tried to start doing recently was make food and like select people. Like I try to use the same people and I give them a dish and I ask a few people like if I let you sample the food, right? Will you jump on like a 30-minute podcast episode to critique the food, tell me what you like, what you didn't like, what you would change and things of that nature. So right now I got like two people that said they'll do that. So
Okay.
I have to make something this week, send it out so I can get this moving because this platform is good for a lot of things. Like you said earlier,
Yeah.
look at it like a business. So I can't wait to start doing that. And I think the more people hear stories about, oh, this food was good, or I like this, and this was really good, or he can really cook, that's just exposure that I need. That's going to be excellent for
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
then once the food truck is ready, I'm like you said earlier, it's about getting that audience, right? So why not start now? So that's something in the works. Now I do want to do tasters for other people, other than two people. But the thing is, I got to come up with the money to buy the food, prepare the food, and I'm not getting paid for none of that.
Yeah.
But I know it's a bigger purpose, right? It's a
You could
big
do a
help,
donation only. So they
right?
pay what you think this is worth.
Right. Now you said that people should take time to themselves so they can get to know themselves again. That's a powerful message, right? And that goes back to what I was just saying before. It's like when I say I like a comfortable silence and I like to realign myself with me, right? I like that self-reflection, right? I like that decompression time. So when I seen that in your profile, I was like, that's great. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something that everybody should start doing. Take time to themselves. Stop worried about hanging out or being in this person's face or that person's face. Sometimes just self-reflection is vital, right? Because you got to rediscover yourself, get to know yourself again, as you said. So yeah, that's one thing I encourage people as well. Because life is about learning and happiness, right? And just knowing who you are as an individual. Um, so man, this is crazy, man. Because now my mind is a million miles a second, right? Like I'm thinking about this place and that place. It's crazy. Uh,
That's
so
my
what?
vibe. I do this to everyone.
Yeah, and speaking about that, I still have in my mind that quote you said earlier when you said, "Your vibe attracts your tribe."
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I love that. Like I said, certain things just stick with me. So it's like I might even occasionally use that because a person's vibe attracts their tribe, like your
Yeah.
people, like you. So that's great. One of the things I saw in your profile is that you said that sometimes making a lot of mistakes is needed to help you get on the right path. That's
Yeah.
another thing that you said that I resonated with. That's
Just
good because a lot of go ahead.
just like hard times make strong men make weak men, weak men make strong men. It's the same process. Like if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn, and you don't
Right.
if you're always successful, then you're never going to everything's too easy almost, and you can't really help people unless you've gone through tough times.
Right, right, and because I often tell people like life is hard. If life was easy, we all be doing something else, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, anything in life that's easy, we're no longer interested in it, and we move on from it, right? But
Yeah.
and nobody likes adversity. Nobody likes that difficulty factor. But this is the thing: we don't consciously we don't like it, but subconsciously, I think we do because the harder things is, the harder we work at it, right? We start
Yeah.
to look at it as a challenge, and then we keep working at it, working at it, working at it, and the more we chip at it, right? Eventually, like we'll overcome it, or we be damn near close to overcoming it, right? It's like a game. It's like you want to beat that game because it's the difficulty factor. So um a lot of people look at it as a weakness, right? But it's not, right? Like mistakes are not weaknesses. Mistakes are a
Learning.
guide. It's a guide. It's a motivational tool. It's a prerequisite to life.
Yeah.
Like you said, without mistakes, we can't learn. We can't prosper. Right? If we lived in a world where nobody ever make mistakes, it'd be a perfect world, and nothing in life is perfect. Hold
Yeah.
on, I got a comment. Right? Is an idea for your food truck, brother. Oh, so instead of delicious,
Delicious.
delicious. Hey, I had to write that down. That's and see how people feel about that. Delicious.
That's a great
Interesting.
one. I love that.
You like that one, delicious?
Yeah.
But it makes it seem like I'm marketing myself, though. That's crazy. So tell us about when you started your well-being practice, because I know you said you started a well-being practice, and after a while you felt like it wasn't for you. So tell me about that journey.
Yeah, so when I went to uni to do my masters, I was like obviously absorbing as much information as possible. And then I remembered what it was like working in that corporate like sales job, and I was just like, you know what would be really good is if we made the workplace a bit more fun and like put on
Mhm.
yoga classes. So I had like a team, and I had like yoga instructors, massage therapists, art teachers, um massage therapists. I've already said that, but yeah, we had like a group of people who could do different things, and I was kind of managing the company. And then we would go
Right.
into organizations, and we would like host different events to try and get people to connect more with themselves and each other without involving alcohol, because in the corporate world everyone just goes out for drinks on the weekends and gets really drunk, but they don't really look after themselves, and that
Right.
can. So we started up a business, me and my business partner Kitty at the time, to do this, and we were doing okay. It was growing for the first like 2 years, but then we both decided that we didn't want to stay in London, and we didn't really want to work with corporate people. And then I had to do a bit of like soul searching to figure out like who my ideal client is and the type of people I want to work with. What do I want to what do I want my life to be like? So I hired a coach, and she kind of helped me find that I wanted to work with young, creative, like fun, loving people. And then that's when my business, not called the Digital Nomad Coach at the time, but that's when that blossomed.
Okay. All right. So I know you had mentioned that you was working like 60 hours, and that's a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah.
So with me being a kitchen manager, like we were required to work 50-hour work weeks, but I was at one point I was at like 55, 60, and I know that that was strenuous, and it took a
Yeah.
toll on me, especially having kids. So I know for you that had to be a lot, and I can see where you could say, well, when you saw that, like this is not for me, because that's a lot. You can't really enjoy life when you work so much, because
No,
then
it wasn't what I
because then like
wanted.
yeah, and then like the thing is, on your days off, you put so much on your plate. You say, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that." That planner I was talking about earlier, I used to be like, "Oh yeah, this day I'm gonna do this," and then I might have 15 things. I'll be lucky to get one thing done. That's how bad it is, because now you sit there, you get comfortable, you get like
Yeah.
lazy, start procrastinating, and or you do one thing, it takes longer than the other things, and
Yeah.
becomes a setback for you. So it's tough, man. So I'm glad you was able to find something that
Yeah.
you that put a smile on your face and made you happy.
And it wasn't
Uh,
really authentic, because I was working 60 hours a week, and then I was promoting well-being and self-care and stuff like that. So there was like, why am I working so hard when
mm,
like my business doesn't represent who what there's like a I don't know, like it wasn't congruent.
right. And that brings me to the next thing I'm gonna say. Something that I seen in your profile on your website. You said that people should learn about their type of lifestyle that they want before thinking about the business side,
Yeah.
because otherwise they can create a business that doesn't fulfill them or their life goals. Now, when I read that, I was like, that's a gem in itself. That's a valuable piece of information right there. So like I said, I like the way you think, and I like what you're doing. I like the message that you're putting out there. So yeah. Now, last but not least, right? Like you started a freedom business to help others. You started to work remotely, and now you travel the world. So, any last bit of information or advice you would give the people that want to take that journey?
Well, obviously, I'm biased, but I would say contact me and ask me any questions that you want. Um, I'd be happy to give people who've listened to this podcast if they like say Desmond Black or Sippin' and Trippin', so I know where you've come from, and then I
Right.
can offer you a discount.
Okay. Okay. Now, when you said discount, so how like what's the fees or where do we got to go to get sessions and stuff?
So the discount would be 300 British pounds off. So it's a nice chunk of money. But yeah, the coaching isn't cheap, and it depends on like what your needs are. So depending on the type of business you want to do, where you are with your business, if you have a business idea. So I can talk to
Right.
you about all of those things and then come up with a price. But the price for the discount would be £300.
Okay. And now all this is on the all this information on how to book a session is on the website.
How to book a session is on the website, digitalnomad.coach.
Okay, digitalnomad.coach. Okay, so for everybody that's watching live or they're watching the replay at a later date, that's how you can find Miss Dina.
Thank you.
Um, but today, that's going to conclude today's episode. I hope everybody that's been viewing, like I said, either live or that will watch the replay, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. You gained some knowledge and a little insight. I hope you was inspired. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, have a good day.
Bye.